Temple family, I am your girl JLova, and it is another brand new exciting Cross Caribbean Countdown only on Temple. Yeah, you know that show where we count down the top 10 videos from across the region and of course beyond. Well, let me tell you, I have a treat for you today. We are in Panama. Yes, you know, home of the Panama Canal. Why are we here? It's Canto 2018. And you know, I'm going to be bringing you all the behind the scenes, and I'm going to teach you a thing or two today about Panama. So stay tuned. Check out the next video on the Cross Caribbean Countdown. And when we come back, more vibes, Panama style. Welcome back, Cross Caribbean Countdown family, and we are at Canto 2018 right here in, of course, beautiful Panama City. And I am here with someone who is very, very, very important to the television that we watch, right? And he's from the FCC, and his name is Ajit Pai. Welcome to Canto.
It's great to be here. Thanks for having me on.
No, absolutely. Talk to me a little bit about what the FCC is for our audience who may not know, and of course, what do you do?
So we are the primary communications regulation agency in the United States. We regulate the broadband, broadcast, and other technologies that are used to communicate. And I'm the chairman currently of the FCC. I've been in this position since January of 2017.
Wow. And so now, when you say you regulate, would it mean that you're like the watchdog? Are you spying on us? What does that mean?
No, so we're not the watchdog, but what we do is to make sure that the networks are available. We make sure, for example, that internet access is in as many parts of the United States as possible. And we also make sure that consumers are protected so that if companies do bad things and harm consumers, that we are the cop on the beat to make sure that those consumers are vindicated.
Well, that's very interesting. So now we know that the FCC basically watches our back, right?
Absolutely.
So now, what about things like, I think when most people think about the FCC, they think about, oh, I can't curse on TV or I can't curse on the radio.
Right.
What does that mean?
So we also regulate the broadcast airwaves and make sure that we follow the laws that are established by Congress. And one of the laws that Congress has established involves what words you can say and can't on TV in a nutshell. But the primary mission of the FCC under my leadership has been trying to close the digital divide, the gap between those who have access to technology and those who don't. And to me, at least, when I travel around the country, and I've been to now 33 states and the territories of Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands, and I've seen some communities that are on the wrong side of that divide, and that motivates me to want to go back to Washington and do everything that we can to solve that problem. There are millions of people in our country, around the world, who need access to technology to be able to start a business, improve their lives, and make their communities stronger. That's something that we need to focus on.
Well, absolutely. I mean, this year it's really all about bridging that digital divide and really moving towards more of a business economy. How can the FCC, even though it's really just for the U.S., help other nations like the ones in the Caribbean as well?
So part of it involves this conference. So getting to meet regulators from other countries and other parts of the world is very useful to us to be able to exchange best practices. For example, the U.S. is doing a lot of interesting work in allocating funding to be able to fund broadband networks. We are sharing some of those ideas with other Caribbean countries. Conversely, I'm trying to learn from some of my counterparts across the Caribbean in terms of disaster response. What are the things that you are doing to prepare for the upcoming hurricane season? Is there anything the United States can learn from you to be able to make sure that our citizens stay safe? All of us are in this together at the end of the day. I don't pretend to have a monopoly on wisdom, so we always come to the table looking to exchange ideas. And if we do that in a successful way, everyone is better off.
I love that. So now, I mean, you represent not just, an American, right, who is from Kansas, by the way,
That's right.
But you also represent diversity, and the diversity that represents the U.S., as well as just the rest of the universe. In the Caribbean, we're such a diverse people.
Right.
Talk to me a little bit about encouraging diversity and what your platform is as far as diversity within the FCC.
There's so much that we're doing in terms of diversity. For example, last year, I decided to stand up a committee focusing specifically on diversity and what I call digital empowerment. It's very important to me to make sure that every American, regardless of what he or she looks like, regardless of where he or she lives, has the ability to use technology. And so we've just started a bunch of different subgroups under that diversity committee, looking at how are diverse communities able to get into the broadcast business? What is necessary for them to be able to get broadband if they live in a lower income community? Is Silicon Valley diverse enough in terms of who it's hiring? These are the kinds of things we're looking at. Also, just in terms of my advocacy on the international stage, I want to make sure that women, minorities, and other historically disadvantaged populations are able to participate, and that's part of the message that I convey, including today, where I wanted to specifically recognize some of the women in Canto who are really leading by example. It's important for everybody to have a seat at the table, so to speak. We all are stronger when women and others are able to participate.
Absolutely. We are, we birthed the nation, right? And so one of the things, of course, well, you're on Tempo Networks, and we were actually birthed from MTV, our founder and CEO. And I was telling you, of course, that full story. But he basically was able to pitch a channel to represent our Caribbean culture. And then also he bought that channel when it wasn't represented in the way that he wanted it to be for the Caribbean people. What advice would you have for emerging networks who may have been in a part of a bigger conglomerate, or maybe just emerging for themselves, to kind of get a part of this digital space as well as this on-air space, broadcasting space?
It's definitely a challenge. The entertainment marketplace is more competitive than ever. My two humble pieces of advice would be, number one, focus on content that people really want. I think one of the things that's interesting as I learned about Tempo is that you're really trying to address a part of the marketplace that historically hasn't seen as much content. That's something that's very valuable to people, whether you live in Bermuda or Guyana. Secondly, I think you're trying to be very nimble in terms of the business model. As we emerge into a more competitive broadband video marketplace in particular, is going to be important for companies to think about, how do we reach those eyeballs? Is it over a linear channel? Is it over the internet? Those are the kinds of things that the very successful companies are going to be able to figure out. So I certainly wish all of the diverse companies in this marketplace success going forward.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Listen, it has been amazing talking to you. The FCC, of course, has your back. We are here in Panama City for Canto 2018, and when I come back, of course, we are going to be bringing you more right here from this conference. Welcome back, Cross Caribbean Countdown family. Now you know we are live in Panama. It's Canto 2018, and I'm going to bring you all the sights and sounds. However, at the conference, there's so many important people and, of course, important information to get. And one of the people who are important is Mr. Sidney DeWeaver from St. Martin. He's actually a regulator. How you doing?
Not bad. I'm fine. Good.
Fine.
Yeah.
Yes. Now, so we actually met also at the AGM for Canto in February for Trinidad. It was around Carnival time.
Right.
How did you enjoy Carnival?
It was a blast. First time in Trinidad, first time for Carnival. It was crazy. It was off the chain.
Yeah. Now, did you get to eat any doubles?
I did.
You did?
Yeah.
Did you enjoy it?
It was nice. Actually, I ate something before, so I didn't fully enjoy it. But I can now say I can check that off my bucket list, and I did eat doubles. So.
And so you had doubles, right? And so now, as we're in Panama, one of the things that we talked about with Mr. Ajit Pai, who's the chairman of the FCC, is it's basically about how to information share and be able to help other partners in the region do some of the work that the FCC does. As a regulator, what is some of the things that you do for your job?
Well, we regulate the industry, make sure that the providers are doing what they're supposed to do based on their license, as well as we help shape policy and sort of a roadmap for the country, in this case St. Martin, in terms of what their ICT policy should look like in the coming years, and basically help foster that type of movement. Yeah.
So one of the things that, when people hear about regulations or they hear about the FCC, they're thinking about, you're kind of like the watchdog, you're spying on us. But what Ajit said is that, no, we're kind of here to protect you guys. So how is it that you as a regulator is basically helping ICT to move forward within your community?
Well, taking a little step back, indeed, we are perceived as the watchdog. We are perceived as the bad guys in this case, in terms of limiting progress, and that's from a telecoms perspective, provider perspective. But on the contrary, indeed, we are here to protect the consumer. Not only that too, but we are here also to foster growth and innovation. Sometimes telecom companies do get complacent, and whereby the community is not better served by it. So we are a neutral entity. We're looking at it from a bigger perspective, and we're looking at it long term, and we're trying to find a balance between what the community needs and deserves, and then what the telecoms provider can provide in terms of it's not cheap. Do business is not cheap. So we can't tell them, listen, do this, and they turn around and tell us, listen, we want to, but we don't have the money to do it. So we have to find that balance, and it's a tough job, but it's something that at the end of the day, both us as a regulator and the service providers, we have one goal, is to provide a service to the wider community, in this case by means of ICT. So with that in mind, it's a work in progress. Yeah.
Understandable. It seems like you're doing a very good job. Welcome back to Canto 2018. And of course, it is the Cross Caribbean Countdown. We just took a little break, of course, to handle some business. But when we come back, it's more vibe straight from the Hard Rock Hotel in Panama City. It's Canto 2018 and it's the Cross Caribbean Countdown.
Good evening, this is Tom Sullivan, International Bureau Chief of the FCC. We are taking over the Cross Caribbean Countdown, and I'm here to interview Jeanette Mitchell here at Canto, 34th Annual Conference. And Jeanette, I would love to get your impressions of how the conference has been so far.
Well, for everyone, he's absolutely taking over. Of course, the FCC is a regulatory board, and sometimes, they cut content out.
Okay, so that's enough, Jeanette.
You see, that's exactly what they do. They literally just shut the show down. So I'm happy that you're here taking over my show. I'm very excited. Tempo is very happy that the FCC is here, okay?
Jeanette, I know you got to interview Chairman Pai a couple of days ago, and what were your impressions, and what impression do you think he's made here at Canto?
Well, first of all, I know that Canto is very excited to have your chairman here. I mean, it's a big deal for us to have the FCC come and just talk to the conglomerate of Caribbean islands. He is such a charming guy. He's from Kansas, so he has a good old Midwest charm about him. And he really talks about diversity. And of course, the Caribbean is such a diverse place that it was just really important and impactful to have him here. And of course, talking to the other regulators, so that was also interesting.
Well, you've certainly made a great impression on us and at the FCC on behalf of everyone. And Chairman Pai, we really appreciated your time and attention, and really appreciate you filming the whole representation here at Canto. So thank you very much. And Jeanette Mitchell, thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Listen, he just made my life so easy. I think he's just going to do the show, and I'm just going to hang out in Panama and have some drinks, okay?
Stay tuned for the next video on Cross Caribbean Countdown. Tom Sullivan signing out.
Cross Caribbean Countdown family, listen, every time I come to Canto, one of the faces that I do see, of course, is this Minister Weekly, straight out of Yatong, Jamaica. How you doing?
I'm good, Jeanette. How are you?
I'm good, but listen, of course, among being one of the best dressed ministers, their vibe and the attitude is...
Sexy.
Yeah. He said it's sexy. Now listen, one of my fondest memories of you is you literally doing a Usain Bolt sprint down the corridor last year in Punta Cana. Do you remember that?
Vaguely.
What,
was
the man fit.
Was I running? Was I running after you?
No, unfortunately not. I was actually running from you because Because you know, when a Jamaican and a Trini get together, it's like a real fire, right? So we on the Cross Caribbean Countdown, we're here at Canto, but this Cross Caribbean Countdown, we're focusing on Panama and vibes and everything. Now, since I have you here, I know that you're a minister. Talk to me a little bit about youth development within your ministry in Jamaica.
Well, I'm glad that you asked that question. We believe in what we term a knowledge-based society. And what that basically means that equipping our young people to be able to participate in this evolution that is before us, where ICT is contributing to the build-out of a truly digital society. So we have embarked on a number of initiatives. We have what we call a technology advancement program that teaches young people basic ICT skills for them to be able to participate in that ecosystem. We have a number of other initiatives that are geared towards universal access, where remote communities are now in reach of getting access to the internet. So, you know, we are about youth empowerment. We are about building that knowledge-based digital society in Jamaica.
What would you say right now is the digital penetration within Jamaica?
You know, to be quite honest, you know, when it comes to penetration, you know, Jamaicans are very good at that. But just to say that digital penetration, we have quite a very good coverage in terms of mobile penetration. We are maybe over 100 and I think we are 112, 120 in terms of mobile penetration, because Jamaicans love to talk, so we have maybe
so like two phones
at time, you know, one for the wife and one for work.
Yes, absolutely. One for the wife and one for work. And talking about working, Cross Caribbean Countdown up next. I'm going to let this minister continue because, you know, Canto is real vibes. We are here live at the Hard Rock Hotel in Panama with Minister Wheatley himself, straight out of Jamaica. Cross Caribbean Countdown family. More vibes.
Big up. This is Dr. Andrew Wheatley, the Minister of Science and Technology in Jamaica, right here at the Hard Rock Cafe in Panama. Just bigging up Tempo team, and we are here on the Cross Caribbean Countdown. Big up, straight out of yard.
Cross Caribbean Countdown family, it is that time again. Of course, it's Canto 2018, and we have so many people who come to Canto from so many countries, and of course, representing St. Martin is Mr. Kendall. How you doing?
I'm doing fine. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Listen, I'm happy soca music playing and we vibing.
I was kind of surprised actually that the first song they played for the DJ is soca, so that's good.
Pleasantly surprised, right?
All right, because you know I'm a soca lover, so yeah.
We love soca.
Yes,
How are you
always.
enjoying the conference this year?
The conference is at a very high level this year, I think. The speakers have always been on point, but this year is really exceptional, I think. I've been going to at least 4 sessions today, and I was totally satisfied in the way they're delivering the conferences and the information they're giving to us, especially from the FCC chairman.
Yes.
That was really important for us as a region to know about that.
So important, you know. So listen, we're gonna go have a ball and dance floor.
Always.
Last year you and I was dancing over.
I think I taught you how to dance salsa.
You sure did,
Yes.
right? We were over in Punta Cana, and this
Right.
year we're in Panama, and we're still going strong.
Yes, definitely. Always going to enjoy ourselves when we're here.
That's
It's
right.
work and play.
That's right, because all work make Kendall a dull boy, and he not dull, okay? Cross Caribbean Countdown next video. When we come back, more vibes. Cross Caribbean Countdown family, how you doing? It is your girl JLova and of course Mr. Tempo. We are live in Panama City right now at the Hard Rock Hotel and we're celebrating Canto 2018. How you feeling?
Well, I feel great. You know, it's a big celebration always with Canto, and because when Canto gets together, we're celebrating Caribbean culture and technology and vibrancy of all of the Caribbean people and the destinations, and you know, all of the ministers come together, and it's just really an amazing thing. So I feel great.
Yeah, it's such great vibes to have all these ministers together. This year they had the FCC chairman, okay, Mr. Ajit Pai. I mean, that had to be an amazing thing, right?
Yeah, well, absolutely. The FCC chairman was outstanding. He was a great addition to Canto 2018. So we want to say big Ajit and all the fine work that he's doing at the FCC, and to Teresa Wankin and the entire team, Julian, for having the foresight to put him into this program, because he really added significant value. And so to me, it's just yet another amazing canto. And the folks at home got to know that the folks, the ministers and everybody else are working hard to bring a vibe to the Caribbean, create broadband space, create the internet space, and really put the Caribbean at the forefront of the technology.
I love that, but what I love even more is that now they're playing soccer.
You know you're a soccerholic, we all know that.
And so my vibe has just changed. Cross Caribbean Countdown. Check out the next video, and when we come back, we dancing. Bye-bye.
And now we're at the end of the 34th Canto Trade and Exhibition Show right here live in Panama. Join us next year in Trinidad and Tobago.
Another level up, hey yeah, hey yeah. Oh yeah, we're way up, selling out stadiums. So tell us